What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
SPEAKROC, that's the team that I'm with. SPEAKROC, don't it make a lot of sense? SPEAKROC, yeah, we speak to each other. Hey, young man, be a brother to another, Put the other things aside, throw away the fakeness. All my brothers got the key to achieve greatness. Let nobody bring you down when you tryna reach the top. Let them know what you represent, tell them SPEAKROC. Let's make a change for the best. Let your voice be heard, let your words be expressed. Brothers and sisters, set a goal to the top. If anybody got your back, let them know it's SPEAKROC.
Hey, yo, Guap, that was dope. Hey, just gotta keep telling them what it is out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you already know, man.
Hey, we doing this one for the D. What up, though?
What up, though?
What up, doe? What up, doe? What up, doe, brothers and sisters? This is your brother, SPEAKROC. We are live at 5 on the SPEAKROC show, and you already know what it is. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all for joining me. Oh, man, seems like it's been a minute, but really hasn't, but it seems like that. I really enjoy chopping it up with y'all. Hey, look, if you have not plugged in to the SPEAKROC show, if you have not plugged into what SPEAKROC is doing and what we got going on over here, I don't know what you're waiting on. Get plugged in. Hit me up on the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at SPEAKROC, SPEAKROC, SPEAKROC. And trust me, you won't regret it. We got good conversation, good and enlightening information, just some practical, realistic things that we're talking about. And, I believe that, it helps. It helps to speak to each other. It helps to have conversation. It helps to talk. It helps to get some things out in the open. And, one of the things I like to say, hey, let's be clear. I was talking to a partner of mine just this early this afternoon, and I said to him, because him and I, we went out, we hit the streets, man. We hit the streets and we talking to the people, and we had a great time, man. And people are receptive, and I tell people, I said, bruh, as a matter of fact, I was with the media merc, and he's on Team SPEAKROC now. And him and I, we was just chopping it up with people, just having great conversation. And these people didn't know us from nothing, but I told them, I said, media merc, I said, look, man, people are willing to listen, when they're heard. When people know they are heard, they're willing to listen in return. And, it was just a great exchange between us and just some random folk that, we just sat down and, and chopped it up with them. And, especially, and guess what? Food was involved. So food always helps when you're having a conversation with anybody, so it was a great time. But look, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. I got a topic that I want to bring up, and y'all know me, man. I'm not shying away from nothing. Because one of the things I believe is we got to stop making certain topics that are very important to our community, to the African American community. We gotta tackle them head on. As they say, grab the bull by the horns and let's lay it out on the table and let's have a conversation, and then let's come up with some ideas on how to fix a situation, or let's continue to come up with ideas of how to sustain and keep the momentum of a certain situation going. And trust me, in that kind of way, we get things done. And let me also add this. We have to invite everybody to the table. And I know, once again, we like to stay in our pockets. We like to stay in our little small circles of our friends and who gonna treat us right and this is that another. But when you're dealing with a situation that is systemic and that it plagues the community in which you live in, it plagues your people, and it's detrimental to you at every turn, you cannot afford to just only deal with your people, because this is what happens. And look, y'all, look, if y'all dealing with me and you're listening to me right now, I'm going to ask you, you got to get like me. Real talk. You cannot be thin-skinned when you're listening to me. You can't be all extra sensitive and think that when I'm speaking that you take it so much to heart that you just want to tune me out, either you just want to forget all about me, or you just like, hey, look, I'm gonna go about my business and let him do him. I think, because to me, if you do that, if you're that thin-skinned and you're that sensitive, you're playing into the situation that people always talk about. We can't work together. We can't organize. And I feel that we got to get beyond that. All right, if I say something that you don't totally agree with, just continue to listen. Continue to hear me out. And better yet, you already know that, look, you really ain't going to get anywhere until you really have a conversation with me face to face or, over the phone or whatever the case may be. Because if we don't never open up the lines of communication, we're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to be you and your organization trying to right the wrong for a whole race or for the whole world. Look, I'm sorry. I don't buy into Walt Disney type stuff, wishing upon a star and Tinkerbell and, one person can make a change in the whole world. Yeah, you might affect a little bit of this, but truth be told, it takes people. It takes a concerted effort through a lot of people. It's one person or just one group not gonna make it all happen. I know it sounds good. It feels good. It feels good to be doing stuff. Folk like to do stuff. They're like, hey, look, here's a situation over here, and I think it needs some attention. So let's go ahead and just do some stuff and try to make it better. Look, I am truly not knocking anybody who like to do stuff. But what I'm saying is that more stuff can get done where more people are involved. Trust me, I get it. Look, I was part of a large organization. I understand when people talk about, look, it don't take a lot of people to get certain things done, and it only take a few. And okay, once again, that all sounds good. It sounds good. And for certain situations, yeah, that does work. Hey, look, if you're trying to set up a cotton candy machine and you only want to sell so much, guess what? Yeah, you ain't need a lot of people. Yay, you got your cotton candy machine set up and you sold the dollar amount that you want. But if you're trying to affect some true change, look, you gotta have the majority of people on one accord. Those are facts. You'll get more done with more people that believe the same thing. Real talk. If that was the case, take your spirituality, whatever your religion is, you get more done with more people. Those are just facts. True. It's true in all cases. If you're trying to police a neighborhood that you live in, and law enforcement, you get more done with more people. The more law enforcement you have, the more you get done. That just makes sense. If it's a school, the more teachers you have, the more you get done. Those are facts. But let me get to my point of today. My point is this, or the topic of the day, should I say. Today's topic is black folk talking about gun reform and gun violence. I want to make sure that we understand the difference in those two subjects. And I want to have a conversation about how we approach those two subjects. because I believe that there's no other race in America that will be affected about gun reform than the African American. Taking in consideration our history as Africans brought over into this country in chains, mainly the great conqueror was the man with a gun. And shall we say the white man with the gun? Real talk. Look, a person with a gun has changed history in many places all over the world. I believe that there is and I'm approaching this in a sensitive manner, but I must be clear. I believe there is a tangled discussion happening, not just only with black folk, but with all Americans. And to some degree, I can understand why, because the heartache and pain that comes through gun violence, it would take you there. It would confuse you. If you're a victim of gun violence, be it directly or indirectly, it would just scramble your emotions and your feelings, and all you want is resolve. If you're a victim of it, you just want resolve. You're like, hey, look, I just need this situation fixed. Take away all guns. Just get rid of all guns. And even if you're not saying get rid of all guns, you're not too far off from saying that. There needs to be restrictions on this and restrictions on that. And my concern is that the people who are calling for these restrictions, and they're calling for either the eradication of guns as a whole, these are mainly individuals who either never touched a firearm. Notice I said mainly, mostly, predominantly, the majority. These individuals are individuals who've never touched a firearm, never were properly trained in using a firearm. Individuals who don't have any kind of aspect of just having any kind of hardness about them, okay? And when I say that, I mean an individual who's just not into hunting. They're not into, target practice. They're not into, mostly they're not in anything that's of a somewhat violent nature. Aggressive sports or, military or law enforcement. They're not into that. That's not their thing. These are mainly people who wear hard bottom shoes all the time. And, they got to wear foundation because they on TV, or, they lip gloss is popping, or, they pants to wear is too tight, or, they got a skirt that they can't maneuver in, or, whatever it is, they're not built like that. They're not built to be an aggressor on any stage. Once again, if it's, it could be even in academics. They're not on the aggressive side of anything, over any kind of competition. These are mostly the people who's calling for, for guns to be eradicated, out of, society, or, they're asking for so many tough restrictions to be placed on guns that, that conversation of gun reform from those individuals then bleeds over into gun violence. And they use gun violence as the justification of why we need gun reform. And they speak in, in arbitrary, broad statements that, are truly wrapped up in emotions. They're truly wrapped up in just gray area emotions with no clear concise, detailed, steps towards resolution. And that bothers me. It bothers me so much to the point that I know a lot of times these individuals that I'm speaking of, and I'm not taking shots at them, but I'm just being clear. I'm being clear because, I don't see the hunter calling for gun reform to that extent. I don't see an individual who likes to, shoot for sport, that likes to shoot firearms for sport, for target practice. I don't see them calling for gun reform to this extent as the person who is just shy about firearms, to the person who has a phobia about firearms. Once again, I am not saying that individuals who are victims of gun violence should not have have a type of reserve about themselves as it pertains to being engaged with firearms. But I don't feel or believe that their experience should be the experience that should speak for a whole race, let alone a whole nation, to encourage a certain level of extreme gun reform. It's two different conversations that's being had here. And for African Americans who's been denied, it is notated. It is in history about, African Americans being denied the right to even carry a firearm. I believe we have to be very mindful about what it is that we're trying to champion in gun reform. Because if you're not careful, black folk, you would push an initiative that will see you right out of owning a firearm, period. And if we don't think that can happen, we're sadly mistaken. There are systematic, systems that are set up already that incarcerate us, that has us brutalized and murdered, that keep us out of the American dream, getting a slice of the pie. Oh, there's systems set up already. Then if we don't watch it, our own people will lead us down a path where we can't even be legal gun owners because of we refuse as a nation and as a people, we refuse to address specific situations in gun violence. And what do I mean by we refuse to address specific situations as it pertains to gun violence? Well, let me be clear. Let me make this statement. Let me make this proclamation. I wish right now to be as clear as I possibly can. If we look at the data, if we look at the information as it pertains to gun violence, as it pertains to school shootings, who are the perpetrators? White males. Young white males. Oh yes. Maybe they need reform. Maybe there needs to be some stricter guidelines on those individuals. I believe there's been enough school shootings, and with the white males that have been that have victimized everyone, I believe there's enough information to do case studies to find out what is wrong with these individuals and use that as a basis and use that as a point to say, let's start here. Let's evaluate all these situations and what is the common denominator. It's safer to do that than to just well, we're just going to make broad statements. We just want the kids in the schools to be safe. Yeah, everybody wants that, other than the crazy individuals who have no supervision that's using firearms to do some of the most horrific things known to mankind. Yeah, we all want schools to be safe. But let's address the elephant in the room. Let's stop beating around the bush. Let's stop doing that. This is why this situation and this process is taking so long. This is why we haven't come to a reasonable gun reform yet. Because we don't want to address the actual elephant in the room. Stop it. We got to stop doing that. And what I'm saying is, black folk, when you just jump into the pile of people and you just take upon their idea and their viewpoint. And let me say this. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. There's nothing more pathetic. It is one of the most cowardly things I think I've ever seen in my life, is to take the heartache and the pain of young people under the age of voting and use them and parade them around out on the street and marches and rallies, and use young teenage people as your spokespersons to advocate for gun reform, when most and majority of these young people do not have the intellectual capacity to be able to have a conversation. To be able to have a conversation and list clear and concise points of how to come up with gun reform. I think that is one of the most cowardly things that any individual could ever do. Do I agree that young people need to be heard? Yes, I do agree. Do I agree that young people need to be seen and need to express and share what it is that they've went through? Yes, I do agree upon that. But I think it takes a heartless person that's trying to get their initiative across, that's trying to get elected, that's trying to use young people to, booster their platform and their image and their agenda. I feel that is a cold and heartless and scumbag thing to do. Because if not all of these young people, they don't know what it's like to have a firearm in your life to defend your family based on the geographical area in which you live. These young people go to school. They don't have to live with the decision making of, do I pull the trigger or do I not pull the trigger to defend my family? So I think it's cowardly to put young people in that position for them to be able to try to speak on how and why gun reform needs to come about in America. Because it's one-sided. Speaking about one-sided, let me also say this. I think it's also cowardly when we want to talk about gun violence, but yet the only time we talk about gun violence when it's a school shooting, when it's a shooting in a neighborhood, when it's a shooting in a city, but when it's a shooting that is done by law enforcement, I have yet to see any local elected official come out and say what law enforcement is doing around these United States of America is an atrocity and it's an embarrassment to America as a whole. The only time politicians want to stand up and speak up is when it's a no-brainer. The situation where there's arrests that were made, it has to go to court, then you got a politician speaking up. But then once that's kind of blown over, 2 to 3 days later, no politician is speaking about it again. But I'm not surprised. They're politicians. That's what they do. They politic. Nobody never wants to be seen in a negative light on speaking on an issue that isn't popular. Just because you speaking on it for a little bit, oh, well, we don't agree with the police officer, then you're on to the next thing. It's a shame. So here's my thing. If you're going to talk about gun violence, talk about all of it. If you're going to try to use gun reform because of gun violence, and you're going to make up rules for everyday citizens, well, you need to make them up for law enforcement as well. Because it's a shame that law enforcement can just have carte blanche and they're just living free, doing whatever they want with a firearm, killing whoever they want. Then you have the government and the justice system that defends law enforcement officers. But the same government and the same justice system will go all out using juries made up of local citizens to persecute any person that is a gun owner that pulled the trigger in a life or death situation. That is something that most teenagers cannot comprehend. And once again, to go full circle, to parade children around, to try to get them to make decisions as it pertains that's going to weigh in on gun reform, that is sad. It's sad, it's pathetic, and shame on every adult that does that. Once again, let me say this again. I'm not saying that these young people should not be heard. They can express themselves. Absolutely. But if they're not being educated on the details and the minutiae of everything that goes in to making legislation, to the real life, everyday issues of being a gun owner, they can only speak so much. And I know most of you don't want to talk like this because it's not popular. That doesn't get you the good team shirt. That doesn't get you the good photo op. That doesn't place you in good company with people to rub elbows with politicians and people with deep pockets. But just because it's not popular doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not true. Here's something I just can't understand. I feel like doggone Cypress Hill. Here is something I just can't understand. How is it that for a subject, for a topic, for an issue that is serious as this, as gun violence, how in God's green earth can anyone hold a rally or a march or anything as it pertains to trying to gather the people together to say, hey, look, let's talk about this. Let's come together. How in the world can you hold any kind of event and you don't go all out to invite everybody that is in your community? I mean, pull out all the stops. Anybody that's an activist, anybody that's clergy, anybody that's a politician, all business people. How in the world can there not be personal invites? And I said personal. For a situation of this magnitude, gun violence, how can you not rally everybody together to say, look, the invites are sent, who comes, they come, but this is what we're going to do, and I need you to be there. How can you not put in that much effort on a topic of this magnitude of gun violence? But yet you just hold a rally and you just do some stuff and you didn't get everybody wasn't invited to the table. It's counterproductive. So to me, that's what I call folk just wanting to do something to feel good. Just doing some stuff. Oh, we held a rally. Our voice was heard. We got a TV spot. We took some pictures. You know, we're on the gram. We on Facebook. But you hold a rally during working hours. Monday through Friday. Business hours. You hold a rally in a downtown area. When was the last time who gets, I can't, it's much, once again, people love to hijack a narrative and just jump on something and just do some stuff and don't really realize how counterproductive this is. If you're trying to talk to people about gun violence and majority of the gun violence is happening in neighborhoods, why are you not in the neighborhood having this conversation? Why is there a certain area in the neighborhood that's blocked off? Who got time during the work week to go downtown? Oh, I know who. A bunch of retired elders. Oh, I know who. Some kids that got permission to not to go to school that day. Oh, I know who. Folk who just don't have a job, have nothing to do in life. Oh, I know who. The people that work downtown already. Come on now. Is that the crowd we was looking for? Once again, for a topic of this magnitude, how can we just muster up just a couple of folk and act like, hey, look, you know what? We're tired of it. We're tired of gun violence. I'm glad you're tired of it. I'm tired of it too. But if a situation is that serious, I think we need to put a whole lot more work to recruit a whole lot more people. You know what? Don't have your rally so soon then if you can't recruit more people. Prominent people. I believe if you recruit prominent people, most of those prominent people have a following. And they will recruit their following and get them to come along. I don't know. Just sounds like an idea. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. Since we just doing some stuff, I'm throwing some stuff out there. We got to do better, man. We once again, black folk, we're confusing the two topics. Gun reform and doggone gun violence. We can't confuse the two. Because if you just let your emotions run wild with you and you just want some stuff to stop, just stop people having guns. Let's call out specifics. What about people with criminal records? If they got felonies, how about these people? Let's start with them. Let's get some gun reform going on these people. People who's dealing with behavioral health issues that are truly out of control. They have a history of violence in their life. Maybe we need to start with these people and limit these people. Maybe we need to look at the part of society that are Caucasian males that choose to go and shoot up schools. Maybe we need to do something with that demographic. Let's be specific. Let's stop beating around the bush. If you scared, say you scared, but just trying to make a blanket piece of legislation for everybody when you have clear perpetrators, I don't see how that's helping everybody. I just don't understand. It baffles me about people who just like, hey, look, everybody just need to be disarmed. Society just doesn't need any guns. And what are you going to do? What is that individual? I just sit and wonder to myself, how does that individual decide on how they're going to defend themselves? How are they going to defend their family? So what happens when a lot of people start getting, murdered with knives? What are we going to do? Get knife controlled in? We're going to have knife reform. People start getting beat with bats. We're going to have bat reformed in. People start getting beat with crowbars. We have crowbar reformed in. People start getting ran over with cars. We're going to have car reform. Like, come on now. I believe we will be further along in this gun reform if we looked at the individuals that's causing the violence and we put restrictions on those individuals. Let's make it clear. Quite frankly, look, let me tell y'all something. I've done my homework. I go out on the streets. I talk to people. And I ask them simply, what would be something that you would do? What would be the one thing you would do for gun reform? Give me just one thing. And most people are baffled. And watch this. Majority of people I speak to are adults. Millennials, Generation Xers, baby boomers. They're just baffled. Here's what's interesting. Then they just kind of give up. Then they start saying something like, well, there's nothing you can do. I'm sitting there just listening like, wow. Are we serious? You know what that tells me? People still need education. They need to talk to people that know a little bit about firearms, not people that's afraid of firearms. I'm going to say that again. Maybe they need to talk to people that know a little bit about firearms. Maybe a lot of bit. That may not have been good grammar, but still, you get the point. And not talk to people that's afraid, petrified of firearms. There's a way to tackle this situation, but it's not hide behind children. That's what it's not. There's a way to tackle this situation, but it's not addressing the elephant in the room. If we got people that have behavioral health issues that's committing murders and crimes, guess what? They need to be dealt with. If we got a certain part of society, be it Caucasian males, they need to be dealt with. If we have people that are offenders with criminal history and criminal past, violators with felony records, they need to be dealt with. We must have the conversation. Everybody must be invited to the table and stop trying to form and formulate the world into what, or America, or try to make gun owners be what you, stop trying to make them be like you. Okay, you don't have a gun, but that don't mean I don't have to have one just because you don't have one. That's on you. I think there's a better and a more intelligent way to have this conversation other than just trying to have a photo op, trying to push your agenda, trying to get reelected, trying to be the popular politician. I think there's a better way. Matter of fact, I know there's a better way. I have answers. I got plenty of answers, as a matter of fact. There's a better way. So I say, let's get to it. Look, brothers and sisters, don't be shaped. Don't let society guilt you into being bamboozled and giving up your rights of being a gun owner. Don't allow society to, trip you up into giving up your rights. I believe there's a way we can keep our young people safe. There's a way we can keep our elders safe. There's a way we can keep our peers safe, our neighbors safe. There's a way to do it. And there's a way, coupled with it, there's a way for us to maintain our rights. But we have to stop being afraid of having a conversation, and we have to stop being afraid of in having that conversation of being looked at in a negative way. Not being on the popular side. This has nothing to do with what's popular. This has everything to do with what's right and standing on the right side of right. Period. Hey, look here. This your brother SPEAKROC. I thank y'all for being with me. Thank you for listening. Hey, look, once again, let's not be sensitive. Understand this. Hey, I'm a brother from Detroit. What do I know? I might know a little, might know a lot. I might not know nothing. But the point is, we can live, laugh, and learn, and we can grow from this. and we can do better. Hey, look, I appreciate y'all. It's your brother SPEAKROC. I'm out.